go. You're good.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's the November 19th, 2025 regular monthly meeting, and we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have everybody here, so we have a quorum. The first item on our agenda is to review the meeting minutes from October 15th. I have a question when you get to the reading the part about the Harbor Haven and the second page about the PDD setbacks. And I didn't bring that file with me. Maybe Jim, you'll remember if we can't. The setbacks are listed front 15 feet, rear 25, garage side 5 feet, and driveway side 10. I would think the driveway and the garage would be on the same side. So maybe it's on the other side would be 10. Can you?
remember.
Garages were actually
In the back.
in the back.
So
Yeah.
the garage would be the,
The garage and the driveway would be on the same.
no,
No,
Well, yeah.
yeah, I mean, the original plan had the driveway going down the side and in the back. Now if a house has a garage, it's gonna be on the side of the house, which is why they needed the side yard setback change. So the driveway would go up to the garage. So I'm just questioning.
Yeah, they should be the same.
I think it would be the garage driveway side would be 5 feet and 10 feet for the other side. But I honestly,
Oh, yeah, because the driveway is
Driveway and garage are on the same side.
You have their original
So-
application, because it's.
so
it
maybe-
says on there. I think.
Say, you have that with you?
I don't.
I don't.
Yeah.
So let's say the front 15, rear 25, driveway side of house 5, and other side. Because not all houses will have a garage. So driveway side 5 feet and other side.
And it could be opposite side, right?
Right, but I think they're gonna keep them all on the same side, right? Okay. And on the first one for Beck, applicant did not submit the full environmental assessment for, or the site plan review application, or the site plan it's the application form we didn't have.
Or
Beck,
back.
on the first page of the minutes. So those are the two changes that I suggest we make.
We have something that differentiates, like, in the subdivision, it says. First, where does it? You approve the first 4 homes to be built with the same design. And it says as well as the approval for the future 5 home designs.
Okay,
Just
let's,
say different. Cause they just, I don't know, somehow make that stand out, that they're not the same.
right, made a motion to accept the site plan for the first 4 homes to be built with the same design, as well as approval for the future,
The additional designs.
the other.
Or maybe additional, yeah, maybe just
The
additional.
5 additional
Yeah.
designs for future homes.
Yeah.
Because they weren't the same as the first 4. They
When
were
I first read it, I thought
So
the same thing, and I kept reading it, and I knew what I was trying to say, so I made it my.
Yeah.
But yeah, here, I think it,
So 5 additional designs.
One of them to spread that out, but.
Well, that wasn't their intention and we didn't require that.
Yeah,
We talked about it, but
okay.
so 5 additional designs for future homes. That was a good,
And just if you're reading that down the line, you might not stand out.
yeah.
He hasn't priced them yet? Is that the?
No, that's the thing I'm waiting for, see how the target concept comes in. Okay, with those changes, are we good? Someone want to make that motion for us?
I move.
Thank you. Thank you, Merle.
I second that.
Thank you, Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
And then the report to the village board of our lengthy meeting, tried to keep it short. And for your knowledge, awareness, after that meeting, I did send an email to each village trustee and the mayor identifying what I felt were my personal concerns about how that meeting was handled. Because of the awkwardness with the fact that it was an approved subdivision, but the 20-some years ago, but the phase 4, 5, and 6 fell to us. Yet the village board had made an legal document approving no sidewalks, approving blah, blah, blah. So the things that we typically would review, we really had little power to do so. And I didn't think that was a good way to go, and I understand in concept how that happened, but I don't want that to happen again in the future for anything else. And I also know I had received emails from residents of Sunnyside, and then after the meeting, our meeting, I got a couple more. And I said, to answer your questions, that really falls to the village board. Like, why are you not putting in sidewalks? Why wouldn't you put streetlights that match Sunnyside? How do you know the drainage area park, what's it gonna look like? And it's like, we couldn't review those, or the village board decided those. You need to ask them. So I thought, because I was out of town last week and knew I could not attend the village board meeting, I wanted the trustees to know what our involvement had been, that we had not reviewed the plans when the village board signed their infrastructure agreement. And that document said that we had reviewed the plans and said it was that we agreed that no sidewalks were needed. And I said, that's not true. We didn't review it and we didn't say that. And that's what's in a legal document. And I wanted the trustees to know that. So
Was that done by a previous planning board or they just?
No.
They just said that.
that's what the infrastructure agreement says.
I remember the plan. The streets were next to the catch basin. over here.
Right. And that's the way they'll be.
Okay, that isn't the way they're using it over there right now.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't look that way, but it is.
Oh, the street's on the other side of the houses, the house, they don't have a street beside the catch basin. The street's over further. But maybe they're just using that as a haul road.
Yeah, I was confused by it, but then when I looked at the site plan and realized what they're doing, I realized I was thinking it was differently.
But the streets are supposed to be next to the catch basin, right?
Right, but I think it will. I don't think they've made the full catch basin yet, which is
Oh, really?
you're seeing just part of it. That's what threw me up. But anyway, that infrastructure agreement was last April before, and we never reviewed it. So I just felt strongly that needed to be on the record that we didn't. And I wasn't pointing fingers at any one person, but just for the fact that was the record. So anyway, I wanted you to know I did that. Okay. Under old business, Lawler Commercial Properties. Laundromat door replaced with an unapproved, inappropriate, as determined by this board, contemporary style. Many months later, it was resolved and we now have the previous stores. They no doubt are not original, but they were a lot more in keeping with this architecture of Madison Barracks Historic District. They've been reconditioned and it looks lovely, I think. And they just have a little more trim to finish up. So I'd say this is a good example of us as a historic review board doing our job. Once out of many years. But anyway, so now that'll be, I guess, Jim to say case closed, but we can take it off our agenda, right?
Well, at this point, it's just me.
Right. Okay, good, thank you. All right, 25-36. Cassandra Beck, West Main Street. Site plan review is to reuse existing signage and the building use change from a real estate office to a space available private art lessons. That's a little bit different than it was worded last month because of the conversation I had with the applicant this week. It's on Main Street. We have a public hearing scheduled. So this is the one where we didn't have the environmental assessment form. The applicant had typed up a very nice looking document with her information about the items on the assessment form that she decided were relevant. And similarly with site plan review, but we determined we really needed the form, so we tabled it. And I made 4 phone calls, sent her an email, never got an answer. And so then I started again this week, phone calling, and she said she has decided not to pursue the business. With a 1-year-old, it's just too much, and maybe later. I said, well, okay, of course, you can use the building for something else, but, and previously it was a professional office with residential space upstairs, but we would still need to look at what you're doing. Then, that night, I think, Jim sent me a, photo, screenshot of ads that were, I think, on Facebook for private, for paint and sip type things. So I called her the next day and said, I'm a little confused because you're not doing your application. But it looks like you have ads online. Well, we just decided we would let someone use our space for her paint class that day. I said, 1 day or 2 days? Well, those 2 days, maybe in the future, but right now, those 2 days. I said, well, then, so you're not saying community center art studio, you're just, and I asked if she'd have a sign. She said, no, no sign. So, because it's not our business, but we're gonna maybe sometimes let somebody use it. Okay, well, change your application to reflect private art lessons. Did we get anything new from her this week? Okay, and I said, well, we still want the environmental assessment form, we still want the site plan application. So she's not on Zoom, is she? Okay. So that's my email to you that's like, oh, this is a little bit contradictory. And then I checked today just before the meeting and sure enough, there's a class November or something. And multiple ones through December, maybe like 8. For paint. Are they paint and sip advertised? I think so.
I thought I saw one that talked about SIP aspect. Then one of the ones that I sent you the other night said non-alcoholic approach to sip and paint. So I don't know.
So there is no sign.
What's the reservation? I mean, we'd likely approve it.
What's that?
I said, what's her reservation? I wonder.
I don't know. And I did take a few moments to say, some people complain about what we have to do. I said, it's really not a big deal. The form, that 13-page form is intimidating, but that's all we're really asking for. And then we can look at this, but without that, we need to see it. And you can have another business there. You just need to go jump through the hoops.
Is it, I know that nobody has the answer to this, but like, it feeds the question, is he just intimidating, afraid of rejection and just gonna circumvent this whole process by backdooring the way into doing it?
It might be, or it might be just, we don't really want to have a business. So we'll let someone go in there occasionally and we don't really think it's a business, so we're kind of circumventing it, but maybe he needs to be told that's not the way it works. Or maybe it is.
But what,
She did a part 2.
She didn't do it. So we're back to where we are. I did the part 2 and 3 in anticipation of it.
so it sounds to me like she's withdrawing her interest in completing the application.
Right.
And now that whatever happens inside of that building is now
Enforcement.
enforcement, nothing to do with us.
So this is pretty straightforward.
That's how I interpret what's going on.
Yeah, I do too.
And the only other thing is, Janet has expressed to her that if the building's being used, the use is supposed to be reviewed. So, I mean, she still owns the building.
I see.
And I did walk past there last evening and there's a car in back and lights on upstairs, so it looks like it's rented as a resident, which is legit. I mean, that
Second floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the way the building was approved,
right,
planning where it was built.
Right.
The idea was to have an apartment upstairs.
right. So that's really not subject to our review, right? Right now.
Well, no, not right now, but there's a sign out front that says businesses, businesses potential or something like
Mhm.
that, call for, and it's in plural, so where would 2 businesses be? I would suspect.
I think this sounds
Second floor.
like an educational challenge that we got to deal
When
with.
I went by that earlier, that sign that's out front, I thought was basically like this is for sale, could be for business.
Well, and I asked about that. I said, no sign. And she goes, well, no, we have the sign, but it's for leasing opportunities. And she said, we don't know what we want. We hate to have it be vacant. We know Sackets Harbor would like to have a business in there. And I made sure she knew we were supportive of that as well. But so the sign, there is no business sign. It's a for rent sign
Right.
or lease.
Yeah, but I think kind of touched on it a little bit. It's like business opportunities,
Right.
and the building was approved as an apartment and a business, not 2 businesses.
Right.
So That would have to come back.
Right. But if she keeps it as someone's renting to live upstairs and a business X on the first floor, business X would have to be reviewed by us. Okay, so, I feel like it's not worthwhile to table this again. I feel like we disapprove as presented. I mean, what do you want?
Well, is the application though, it was for a sign, right?
Right, which she told me I don't want to sign.
So that to me sounds like she's withdrawing that.
Basically.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because we could have, if we've got everything that we need, we could approve her sign.
But she doesn't want to sign.
Right, well, then it's a moot point. It's a moot point. Makes it easy.
We've had two applications that we'll be discussing, where people contacted me about a sign and I said, change the use also. And it's like, that didn't connect with these two individuals. All it was about a sign, and it's like, no, there's more to, we need to know what kind of business it is. I mean, if they're gonna run an adult bookstore, we need to know that so we can say no,
Jim, for this, do we need, is there anything more helpful than, I mean, what, we're not taking action. She's basically not pursuing her business, but yet she's pursuing something. So would it be a denial as presented or just no action because she didn't attend, she didn't want to sign, and she doesn't have she hasn't paid her fee. And, she hasn't done a number of things to make it reviewable.
To me, it's not,
Can we remove it?
to me, it's not even
Disqualified or
tablable
something.
if it's not.
Yeah.
Take it off the table and then move to dismiss it. Can we do that?
Well,
Or just deny approval, I mean, deny the request.
The application's denied as presented because it's not complete. And, the applicant has expressed an interest in changing the use. Then if you want, I can also probably follow up with a letter that said there is no use approved for that building under the real estate office at this point. Something else, we need to see an application. I generally don't like to be reactive that way,
Well, you wait until there's an event and
Right. And I don't know down.
crash that, wear your mask.
Ice vest.
I know. All right,
I think the first thing is, I move to take it off the table. That's the first thing we have to do.
all right, thank you.
Does that need a second?
Yes.
I second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then step 2 is,
Move to, did we say disallow?
no,
What do you
Reject.
say?
reject the
Whether or not we
application.
have a complete application.
No, we don't.
Right,
So
so we,
move to reject the application due to its being incomplete?
yeah, that would make sense to me. That makes sense?
Reject the application.
And the applicant is withdrawn. I mean.
Well, it's
verbally
not
withdrawn.
it's not
Yeah.
officially an application. If it
Yeah.
hasn't, if the fees haven't been paid, it's not a complete packet. So it's really not.
So
Yeah.
we just,
Reject the applicant's request for approval because it's incomplete and she's basically withdrawn it.
Second.
well, yeah,
There you go.
if the applicant does not wish to complete it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Mike, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I feel like it would be worth it to talk to her about the process, like, because we'd like to have a business there, and
Yeah.
we're trying to enable it to happen, but there's just the right way to do it.
Well, I'm on Facebook right now and I'm looking at probably 8 dates
Yeah,
of sip and paint. So it's a business. There's a
Yeah.
business in per building. Just like it.
Well, to me, that sounds like as an enforcement type of issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Potentially
And
becoming that.
we
So
were
it's whether we want to be active and say you're promoting, 8, 10 dates and you don't have an approved use.
We were wondering because she didn't return calls and I just kept calling and she seemed anxious to get off the phone. But I wanted to make sure she understood we were trying to support it and not make it challenging. And I said, I'll help you, whatever you need. And she's like, no, got a 1-year-old. It's just too much. Can't do it. Thanks. Well, wait a minute. Wait. Okay, all right. So we're finished on that one, right? Okay, also under old business, Jason Berto for Miletta's, construction of a home on General Smith Drive. We have a public hearing scheduled. I got a notice, an email, I guess, this week that the architect and the Miletta's are not quite ready with the final plan. So their new target is December. The big push was to beat the electric home building permit. Now that's
Great.
pressure's off, but, so we're basically just gonna wait until December. They'll get the plans to us. We'll reschedule the public hearing. So that's an easy one to see. Okay, new business, 2546, Erica Fiola, Bayview. Site plan review. There are 2 items on this. One is to expand that part of her yard that's fenced. Currently, she has a metal fence, and I included, or she's included in your packet, a picture of her fence her house is red, and you can see along the side, one by her driveway, black, I don't know what you call that kind of style. But she wants to continue that down the driveway and across the front yard and up the side. And it complies with her zoning, correct, Jim? I mean,
Yeah, it's a metal fence, it's height's okay.
right. And there are other fences like that on Bayview. The Homans did that and somebody else. So that fence is Bayview-esque, I guess. And then, so that,
Rid of the wood or?
no, I think
Say, what about the wood?
that's where I don't know, there's a doggy run and maybe that's the end of the dog run.
okay.
I'm not sure.
You got one?
Oh, another.
I get,
See if there's one in there.
I said, oh, yeah, okay.
maybe the woods so the dog can chew it or something like that. I don't know.
But you want to make sure, is she saying in the application that's going to be the metal fence?
It is the metal fence, yeah. And in her application is something from the fence company, a drawing, it's alpine fence. It's a little sketch of the yard, how many feet. Added down the driveway side is 33 feet, and then across the front of Bayview is 65 feet. And then, another 65 on the side. So it's basically enclosing her front and side yards. And it will be off from the property line. It's not gonna be right on the property line. And that's to allow her dog to have a bigger yard space. Okay, that's one thing, and it doesn't seem that there's any zoning issues, so our review tends to be aesthetics, and it's, can voice your opinion on that, but it's existing on her property already. Second part is for carport, and there's a contractor sketch, his best effort. The second photo attached is her side yard and driveway. And those 3 lots are called patio homes, and there's sort of the interface between the apartments, Fort Pike apartments, and Bayview. Bayview are bigger homes, water view. You know what Fort Pike Associates, higher density living, and these three homes are the in between. They were set up with small yards. They have an unusual configuration, and it was something to do with 911 address and the size of the lots. And it ended up, their driveway went from Bayview to Brady Road. And Brady Road. So a couple reasons for this carport. People cut through the driveways. Brady Road to Bayview, or they turn around and they don't know where they're going and they, oh, I want to get over there. So this is one of her efforts to continue to discourage unwanted traffic through her yard on her driveway.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing is she would like a covered area. She has a boat, likes to park sometimes in the summer. Yard furniture, sit in the shade, that sort of stuff. Well, with the shape of the lots and size and setbacks, which were set up in the Madison Barracks PDD for those three lots, if her carport covers her driveway and the corner posts that support it, they would be too close to the property line. So it will need an area variance if she's to build that.
Carport part. Carport.
What's that?
Carport.
Yeah. Yeah. And attached in your pile of stuff is her variance application. And that includes a drawing to show where it would be over her driveway. And her explanation with the variance application asks for responses to questions like what's the benefit to the applicant versus detriment to the neighborhood. So her responses are provided. So that will go before the ZBA next week, I believe. So what I think we are doing is reviewing the fence. And yes or no on that. And then discuss the carport and either table it and send it to the ZBA, well, it's going to the ZBA. But typically what the ZBA likes to know is our opinion, like, do we recommend, do we approve it if they approve it? Or do we have significant reservations about it, that sort of thing. So let's open the public hearing on both items, the fence to contain the terrier and then the carport over the driveway extending out from the garage. Too close to the neighbor's yard. But the neighbor has written a statement saying she doesn't have a problem with it. Any comment? Jim, do you have a comment?
No, I mean, the only thing, I don't know if we've got a lot of detail on what the construction of the carport would be. You want to be seen.
Yeah. I have a hard time visualizing. But the picture that shows the driveway, less of the neighbor's yard. Oh, either picture, basically. The wooden fence that the dogs run is by, there's a blue door and two windows. That's the garage. So what she wants to, the contractor will build the roof out from that. Cover the garage, but it's gonna have a peak roof, like the main part of the house. And that would be to direct the snow so it doesn't settle in between. But I'm a very visual person and I can't totally picture that, how that's gonna look. But the house side, there will be no windows, so it's gonna, any color would match color of the house, like if she painted the posts. Roof,
You need to know some of the materials before you could prove up.
yeah.
It's gonna
It
be
looks like this is perpendicular.
Same material, same style of material as house,
as the house.
roofing, trim and siding.
Oh,
Garage is on the Brady Road side,
Right,
Yeah,
even though the driveway opens onto the basement.
right. That was,
all of those
that
houses.
one.
Yeah.
that's the weird design.
But this would be,
That one here.
it looks to me from what his pencil sketches, it's coming this way off of this part of the. He shows that fence.
Right, it's gonna come out this way.
Perpendicular, but it's perpendicular to this roof.
It'll have a peak like that.
Right. and
Yeah.
it'll be the peak will be parallel to the main roof.
Right.
Okay.
That picture, how it's explained.
Oh, yeah.
And the sketch does a good
Yeah,
job.
this one is it's in 2546, but has a sketch of it.
Yeah. Tried.
And the fence is gonna be the same as what's standing there now,
Yeah.
the black part?
Yeah.
Well, the carport is going to come down where the wooden fence is right now.
It's gonna cover that.
So it's going to cover that. It's probably going to take that out.
Well, I don't know. Probably not, because that contains Fido.
Oh, okay. That's what the carport's going to be.
The carport's gonna project over the drive.
Yes.
And the red siding of the garage will stay there. So it's an entirely open air structure.
Does that driveway connect both roads?
Oh,
Yeah. It
It
does.
does, but it's not supposed to.
it's not supposed to.
That they all three do, and all three residents have trouble with people driving
annoying.
through and walking through.
Why don't they all get together and just fence one side?
There's some, I know. Some,
They came, it used to be that the driveways only went out to Bayview. They came as a group asking for it to also go to Brady.
Oh,
because of the garages, because they had to drive in
Big U-turn.
and turn,
Right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
and bigger vehicles,
silly design.
dumb
Yeah.
design.
I'm being nice.
we're still in public comment?
Yeah, we're still in the public hearing. Any further comment? If not, we'll close the hearing.
I make a motion that we have a complete application packet.
Second,
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
okay, second,
Second,
Dick.
yeah.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we,
Seeker.
to the seeker. And as with many of the applications review, significant resource that could be impacted is historic, given the nature of this project and the scale and line. There's, I think it's reasonable to say there is no significant adverse impact on the environment. I'd like to make that motion.
second,
Thank you. Right,
It was great.
all in favor? Aye.
aye.
Okay, so I'd like to, make a motion to approve the fence as requested.
Second that.
You all in favor?
Aye.
What do we want to do about this carport? We can't approve it totally because it needs an area variance. So the ZBA needs to decide if her request is
We
valid.
make a motion to approve it pending
We can do that.
a zoning variance approval?
Any, elaboration on that for the ZBA? Like sometime, if there any particular
We
concern?
have to make a recommendation.
No,
No, actually, I mean, they're supposed to be an independent board
Okay.
from what you've told, us, but they do like input. So, I mean, you might turn around and say, we don't have a problem with the design, the materials.
That must be a change because we got scolded some time ago. Don Kana came to a meeting and pointed out, he was on the zoning board and pointed out that we were required to make a recommendation.
No,
I don't know where he got that from. He was on when I was on,
Remember that?
but that didn't have that. I know where he got that.
well, the new chair contacted me as soon as he got the application, said, does your board have any considerations or concerns for us as we debate this? I said, we haven't met yet, but if we do, I'll let you know.
I feel comfortable recommending approval for this because of the wording that's here. I think that's probably her writing, same style and material as house, including the roofing, trim and siding.
Yeah.
So I think that's helps.
Yeah. And I me personally, the neighbor's statement is important.
Right.
And some of her rationale about, it's not like she's adding on a 24 by 26 structure. It's basically like if someone builds a pergola, but with a bigger roof. But it's open air, breezes will flow. You could still look through and see a glimpse of the bay, you know. Okay, so did somebody do that motion? Was that you, Craig?
Made the motion.
Okay, we have a second for that. Thank you, Merle. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. I'll let them know that. Erica will be very pleased about that. She's very ill.
She is.
Her cancer has returned, so she's
Yeah, I did.
embarking on the next. So this will be a big boost. No, and that the construction would be next summer for the carport, but the fence is ASAP. Next new project. Megan Chartrand. Beyond? No, I don't think she could be. Okay. This is site plan review, a request for sign. It's at Madison Barracks, where Samaritan Medical Office was several weeks ago. And also a review of the use. And she's describing it as a wellness center where you could get massage and buy products that make you feel good, like flowers and scented candles.
THC.
So there was quite a bit of discussion with Jim and the applicant. And she could not be here this evening, so, and I talked to her at great length a couple times, last couple days. She would like us to not take action on this tonight because she wants to be available to answer questions. So I suggested that we look at it, we could do seeker, we can discuss it, and if there's something else we need to know, we can let her know that. And she already has the December date on her calendar, so I think that makes sense. One part of the puzzle here that took a little research to figure out. You probably know that in Madison Barracks, it's a PDD and each building is designated as allowed for certain uses. And maybe some of you remember there was a restaurant called Old Stone Row in Old Stone Road.
Yeah.
Then the restaurant closed and somebody bought it and wanted it to be a residence. Well, it was, that's a change of use that the PDD had to basically make a zoning law change. Okay, and we did that with what was Mark Crandall's building, and we did some of these in error. We didn't think, or I didn't remember that it actually, if it's a use that's not approved by the PDD law, we are actually approving a change that requires a zoning amendment. So the village had to go backtrack and make an amendment to say Mark Crandall's building was okay as a residence, to say that Old Stone Row Restaurant could be a house and anything else like that. So what Jim and I were talking about was like, well, what is this building approved for? And the Village of Sackets Harbor seems to have lost their map of what Madison Barracks PDD is. So really all we have to go on is Madison Barracks map, but it's better than nothing. And we have reviewed it with various mayors, but never finalized it as this is now the official map for Madison Barracks to go with our zone. But I have a copy of that unofficial map. And this building is called Building 66, and its uses are governed by a little table called Schedule A. and there are maybe 8 uses. And building 66 is designated as residential on the second floor. And the first floor is professional offices, retail, and a number of other things. So whether it was a medical office or a place you can go for a massage or buy flowers, all of that, in my view, fits Schedule
Yeah.
A. So I don't feel this needs a zoning amendment or for her request. But we need to review her request for the change from a doctor's office to her massage, flower shop, goodies, whatever, and her signage. So, we don't have a public hearing scheduled because the paperwork was trickling in through today. So that will be in December as well. We could do seeker, but there's really no rush. We could just do it all next month. What I would like you to look at is her sign. And her descriptions.
We seen the color picture of her sign?
There was one online, maybe for our next meeting, Caroline, you could print the sign in color. Where it says Rosie's Fun Stand, underneath that in color, it's a sort of a rose colored pink, aligned, but it's not a pink sign. And we spent some time talking about the historic community and what a sign is fitting. I said, that's so subjective. And she brought up the Tasty Deli's numerous signs and none of them are historic. And I said, I know, that's being dealt with.
Yes, I don't think any of them got approval.
None of them have been
No,
approved.
none
There's
of
too
them.
many. Jim's been in contact. And she complained about products that are being sold there that are not wellness products. I said, that's not up to us either.
So in the Tasty Deli?
Yeah. I said, well, I've been in there. I've never seen it. She said, well, you can smell it sometimes.
Ask for it.
Ask for it. I said,
It's hidden behind the counter.
I did not ask for it. This is the one that there's some pink in this part. So, Jim, you've had some conversations, is there?
Well, this is one of the other applications, like the paint. I saw the business kind of operating, it looked retail. I know that had been a professional office with the doctor's office. So I said, I think the use needs to be looked at. I don't have a copy of the map. Somebody lost my copy of the map when I lent it to them. My recollection was retail was listed. I wasn't sure that there was anything else. But I do recall that the planning board reviewed and approved the medical office being there. So, at least had that. And she was trying to argue that a wellness center is the same thing as a medical office. And I said, it's not my call. It's the planning board's call, if there's similarities. But, what I tried to get across to both these applicants is, depending what your use is, could have an impact on parking, noise, smells, these are things that the planning board looks at. And, our zoning law says no building or structure shall be erected, enlarged, or demolished, and no use shall be instituted, changed, or enlarged without a zoning permit. So it's like, you gotta get a zoning permit. This was in August. And, we've just gotten a permit despite my hounding for it and giving a deadline and having that deadline missed. And when I was looking to see what you could find for paint and sip, I saw an ad for business there. So it's operating now.
This business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
frustrating to try to get as much information as you can and get reasons for the information and still not get an application.
I think there have also been issues, I did speak to Mike Campbell about it, is like, as far as his awareness about the approved uses is what she doing fit the approved uses from their perspective. And he said, yes, although there are conflicts between Mike Campbell or the Barracks, whoever, and the Megan about what some of what she's doing that isn't fitting with their lease terms. And I said, well, that's between you
different
two.
issue.
And I don't know what that was, whether she was, I think part of it was when she was spilling the pumpkins for sale out in the yard and he was like, get that stuff. Cause I think he was afraid they would get cited for a use or, I don't know, but I didn't need to get us dragged into his lease conflicts.
Yeah.
So,
Guess I don't know the lot size there that she has either. you know what
yeah,
I
it's
mean?
kind of fuzzy, like, and I said, well, what about parking? Is that whole parking lot where Tasty Deli is up for your use with the tenants upstairs? And she said, yeah, there's not even one car a day at Tasty Deli, so. There could be someday.
Yeah. So what you're saying though, is it doesn't matter that if it's not the same as a clinic, because there's all these other
Correct.
approved.
I believe that,
Use it.
that's how I see it. And
Yeah.
she was, I think she's trying to make a business that's got massage and other stuff. But I think she was working pretty hard at it to try in case we felt it had to be medical. It doesn't. I mean, a retail and a professional office and, sometimes hair salons offer massage and nails and they sell candles and,
So
so.
what I try to get across is there's process, right there. The zoning law says you're gonna change the use, you have to have a zoning permit. And, there's other things I joked before, but, how's the village gonna know what the use is when a business, just goes into a building and starts operating? It could be an adult bookstore or something like that.
Right.
And that, that's a no-no, but we could have stopped the person before they open.
So I said, I don't really get the idea of the fun stand. I thought it was something else,
Yeah,
but her revised logo, it has a little less of that. It's the one that I saw that had the pink, which might be this one. It's just Rosie's Fun Stand Wellness. So that some of the other stuff's cut out. So I think if there's anything that you think we should have in addition to that, we need the color, which she's provided, I think.
how does this, she got sizes here, how does the sizes fit in with the sign ordinance?
The side, well,
The total between the two of it.
Well, the one has to fit
22 and a
the
half
wooden
square feet.
posts.
well, for one thing, it's, they were previously approved, so that's what she and Mike Campbell were going on, that somebody approved the freestanding sign on the post and the sign on the building. And
Same size, it's just.
she's using the same, at least for the post.
All of the sign on.
I don't either.
I don't either.
But our zoning allows for that. I mean, that building has a side where the deck porch is and the side facing the parking lot, and it actually has a side facing like the hair salon. And she said she was first thinking of a sign on that backside, but would decided a sandwich board type sign she could put out on the deck. So people at the salon, if they were wondering where the massage place is, they would see it, but she would take the sign in at night. So she got that part. So that's a good thing to question, Dick, about the square footage. What is the total of the two?
Well, the two is about 22.6 square feet.
22. Well, I think we have a maximum, no sign. Signage should exceed 26, 20.
The one sign is like 10.4 and the other is 12.25. When I multiply out these inches and divide it by.
Well, if she has the sign I think she has the signs. From that were up there.
I'm just going to, by the dimensions she put on them.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's 20 on some of the other signs, but it's based on the, 1 foot,
Linear
1 square
foot?
Foot of cumulative sign area per linear foot of the frontage of the building.
so,
So it depends on the frontage of the building. I mean, one
Right.
side's obviously bigger than the other side. Same building. And then not to exceed
not to exceed what?
50.
50, okay. So it's well within the max.
50.
I was thinking it was 26. I was a little bit off. Less than 50 feet. Would you count the side? That's not frontage with the deck.
Well, then it's, is it the whole building? Because half of it's an apartment, like what, like,
There's the,
I mean, if the sign's gonna go on that side of the building, I think it's the linear footage of that side of the building.
yeah,
One of the ends, you use the linear footage of that.
so a freestanding sign where it said Samaritan Medical and one on the corner of the building, that's okay. And it's under the 50 feet, but we'd have to, the building's wide. I don't know how wide it is, but it's certainly,
It's more than 25 feet.
right, so it's,
Projecting signs.
so it complies with our signage guidelines for size.
Okay.
Okay, anything in addition I should convey to her that we are questioning or need further information about? So it's basically the use, which we will review and say is okay or not, but it's consistent
You
with
need to
what,
know what it is.
Yeah,
well,
That's what I've said is just put a brief description
Well,
or a
she-
little narrative of.
well, she did.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's enough of a description there, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, to whom it may concern. Oh, that's about the signs. I feel like I saw a description. I guess maybe
well, just the one on the
on
application.
the application and the seeker to replace existing former signs, one by the road between the two posts with a size and one new one using our logos. Oh. So they replacing the sign with a new one with their logo. Second sign was on the building, gives the size. It will be metal and measure dimensions. Also, to operate the business Rosie's Fun Stand with Reiki massage coming soon.
The
Custom
different-
floral arrangements and therapeutic retail related items.
Her sign sizes in the application are different from what she's got in this little to whom it may concern.
oh, good catch. Yeah,
They're different than
One's
what?
38 by 45 and the other 35 by 60.
Yeah.
Where's,
different than this.
So that's something just to get your
Yeah.
dimensions consistent.
That makes a difference, especially a 35 by,
Sign placed by the road, 38 by 45. And the military road.
35 by
35
60.
60.
yeah, they are different.
Good catch.
Smaller, right? Yeah, they're way different.
Well, if we're tabling this really anyway until next month, we can, right?
We can ask her that, but I'll get in touch with her to let her know there were. Dick, where's the, oh, on the to whom it may concern.
yeah, that's where I
That's-
saw the
I'm
first one.
saying the sign placed by the road would be 38 by 45. And the sign on the building would be 35 by 60?
Yeah, I can't tell exactly what she wants.
Yeah, so she's got two different sides. Okay. I'll get in touch with her about that. Okay, great. So we'll table it until the December meeting. I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
Thank you, Dick. All in favor? Aye. Okay,
This guy again.
last one.
This guy.
Sorry, you waited long. Sackets Harbor Historical Society pre-submission comments for Old Stone Chapel, East Main Street. The request is going to be pertaining to installation of an ADA compliant type ramp.
I tried to, first of all, we don't need, we're not in a hurry. We want to get this in basically by next April, May. So, but we did want to get your opinion. And here it's a grant. I try to give you the information, enough information for you to provide. What's the ramp that's currently at G. Brennan's? This for home. And you offered it as a donation. So it fits our need as far as it's medical, it's kind of a.
So the way it would come, it would project outward from the stairs a little bit and then go make the
Well,
corner and go along the side of the
I'm
building?
told we could do different things with it. So because it's sort of modular, we can reconfigure the way it is. So we could use it exactly as it's configured now and run it from the front, sort of that front porch back, along the building. Or we could, sort of do a switchback up and, with the landing up and back and then to the porch. So, and that's, one of the things we wanted to get your opinion on. One of the things I did put in there is, one way we could minimize the impact would be to surround it, obviously, except for the entrance to the ramp with, some sort of lamp, bushes or something like that. So, once again, we're not necessarily looking for anything tonight, but we wanted your thoughts. I've run it past county code. They said it meets the NDA code requirements. It was provided originally by the Department of Veterans Affairs, or it got complicated, but anyway, it was provided by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And then
Where are you thinking you would put it? Configure it like
well,
on the trail side of the
yeah,
chapel? Yeah.
basically, right now there's a very short ramp.
Yeah.
Which I guess that met code at one point.
Yeah. Little
I don't think so.
Questionable.
Well, I think anyone would have a hard time just pushing a wheelchair up that ramp,
Yeah.
or someone with a walker. That's a pretty steep, anyway, but that's just. So it could either, I think, run towards the street or back along the building, or do sort of a back.
You could run along the side of the building and turn and come back towards the front, or
Yes.
from the building, run back,
So you-
turn it,
There
bring
would
it
be like a
forward.
sidewalk that would go back, and then you'd enter the ramp, and then it would come back towards the porch. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and we also have to get SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office reviewed, but we wanted to run it by everyone, because if it's a definite no way sort of thing.
It's a stainless steel type color, right? I mean, it's not painted.
It's aluminum. yes,
Aluminum,
it's all
yeah.
Aluminum. And it's not a good, copy, but, one of the pages, there was a ramp that was designed, for the diocese. The reason it's crossed off is that that photo or that image was taken from as-built drawing, since that ramp was never built. Architect crossed off the ramp.
Oh, that confused me.
For the as-built drawing. Okay, so that's why it's crossed off. But we were told, the architect was Randy Crawford, who's kind of a known historic preservation. He was the architect for the diocese, and they did their work on the building. And we were told that that design was approved by Chippewa at the time. But they approved all those plans. And they, he uses a metal railing. It has wooden posts and basically wooden deck. That design is very similar. If you look at the ramp that's at the Sackett house, which was also, that was funded with state grant monies. So SHPO also approved that ramp, which has basically a wood deck and then a metal railing. So
It's theoretically, could you, as a cosmetic thing, surround the posts with wood to to enclose it, to make it more like what? Because I think that's the part that it looks kind of, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about doing that kind of, facing it basically with a wood frame.
Yeah, or if, I don't mean the whole side, but just like, like the fact that the one that was originally was a wooden 4x4 post
Mhm.
with the metal handrail secured. Well, could you create a wooden post around 2/3 of this up to the railing part or something? I don't know, but just so it's less all aluminum.
Yeah.
Maybe high.
It's just pretty ugly,
Yeah, it is. I agree.
and it's such a beautiful
Be-
building,
It's utilitarian.
Especially in black and white picture.
Free,
I'm
though.
not disagreeing with you. All of the ramp that I've seen, there's not an exact one. But the one at the art center, I believe it's approved here. And they did try, it's all wood. There may be, I don't even know if there's whole, handrail inside, but anyway, and they did try with, if you look at the woodwork of the post, they did try to make it, give it some architectural detail. To me, it's still not attraction. The ones that tack it out is an attraction.
I feel like if you could like with landscaping, and if you could conceal some of it with a wooden,
Yeah.
like in case this
I think the landscaping would be definitely.
landscaping and in case the support post up to the railing part, but also maybe like how you lay it out, if you came off the front of the building and then went back, at least you could kind of like tuck it by the side of the building
Well, that's.
instead of making it
Yeah,
go
no,
back and forth.
It would be easier to camouflage or whatever.
Right.
Because then you could have basically bushes.
On one
along the
side.
front, and then that would look kind of like bushes you see around
Yeah.
the foundation.
I think it would enormously help if the bottom wasn't open. I
Yeah.
think if it looked like it was
Right.
either anything.
Well,
Right,
we talked about like lattice work, lattice that you'd see, like skirting along a porch foundation. Yeah,
Something.
and well, in the landscaping would disguise that, or camouflage that, so to speak. But,
Well, why don't you just run it down next to the building and then put a nice stone wall around it that matches the foundation? You got that kind of money, right?
and that's why it's tempting, because we don't have that kind of.
Right.
And obviously, the appeal of this is that,
It's free.
well, yeah, it's free.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the ramp itself would require especially no maintenance.
Yeah.
Painting, it's gonna last, I don't know how long time. It doesn't balloon, it doesn't rust, right? So no painting but the trade-off is that it's not.
If you put lattice, you could run it from the ground to the top rail, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, does it need the rail to meet the ADA requirement?
well, it needs the rail.
Oh, I mean, but is there, I don't know what,
No, the rails are on the inside.
okay.
Uh,
Didn't know if there was a requirement to be able to grasp all the way
If I
around.
remember right, there is like I guess a frame, but then there's like a rail off the frame on the interior, on both
Yeah.
sides on the interior, which you may be able to see it from the photo that shows it up the ramp from the driveway. You may be able to see the handrails like on the inside of the ramp. Does that make sense?
I think part of what makes it look ugly is that you can see it's segmented, like the first part where you come out of the door, it's nice and square. But then there's a 4-inch gap and then the railing starts, so it's like a little Lego set, you put it
Yeah,
together.
that's what it is.
And it's
More erectors.
kind of like disjointed looking,
Yeah.
so if you could shore that up somehow and make, so. And I think it would be helpful to this board to have a response from SHPO, like send them this and say,
Can I do?
and you suspect the planning board may want some enhancements, but they recommend to you, so you can come
I don't know if you like
prepared.
that, but
No, but you know,
I'd rather get your recommendations than that, but anyway. Yeah, we could, yeah. we
but
could-
that's the problem. I don't know what to tell you to do other than mask it a bit.
We're getting their, their review.
Yes,
So, and obviously, sure, yeah. So
or,
we don't have to be back here hopefully until, March. maybe.
or hey, Randy Crawford. Could you throw a
Yeah.
couple
See,
ideas
and
our
then-
way?
and then, the one that, and I'm not being critical of him, but the one that he designed, I don't see it much more, any more attractive, any more.
You mean it's like this one?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it's got-
the thing
it's
is,
got 4x4 wooden posts, but.
but I think that's it. It's solid looking in a wooden 4x4 post, wood, not
Yeah.
lots of aluminum.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like that when I saw it, but then I realized it's the same at the Sackett house. So anyway, but no, those are all, so we'll get SHPO reviews
Yeah,
and depending on what they say, but even if they require us, if they say, yeah, sure, fine, we understand, it's good. We can still come before this board with one that shows landscaping and maybe some.
let's shoot for like February. If you want to have it in by April.
Well, the big, getting their review sometimes takes.
So I-
Yeah. But
Okay,
anyway,
thanks.
yep, no, thank you, so that's,
I realized I have an email that the Rosie's Fun Stand, Megan Chartrand sent today at 3:57.
Hmm.
And it will be in the file, but I thought I should read. Hi, to whom it may concern. Please know that Rosie Fun Stand at 103 Barracks Drive is a wellness center that offers Reiki, which is a form of energy healing, and also looking to offer massage once we find the right person for massage therapy. We'll also offer a variety of therapeutic retail related products, all sourced locally within New York State that promote the healing of bodies. The name Rosie Fun Stand transformed because my ancestors' names were Rose, and rose is a medicinal flower. It helps with inflammation. The image of the dog in my logo depicts my Bernese mountain dog named Rosie, who was named after my ancestors, and the flower rose. I could not attend this evening as I had a prior obligation. I look forward to seeing you next month. If you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to contact me. I will provide the licenses of practicing Reiki masters upon request. I was unable to get them to you today as I was heading out of town. And that is on our zoning application, copies of licenses. And last month you asked about the liquor license. And we said, well, that's not really our domain, but it is one of the things we can ask for, a license. So, but since they're not doing paint and sip, we don't need to worry about that.
What is the spelling of the massage or the?
REIKI.
My only question is what kind of products is healing product? Like, I don't know, unless that's not on my bid. I don't know if it's retail.
I think she's talking about like candles, because I looked in the window.
Could be ointments and
And
oils.
oils, like some of the things handmaidens makes, those sort of
Yeah.
things.
Something,
I specifically asked like
Maca.
anything to compete with Tasty Deli. And she said, oh, no, nothing like that.
With the airflow, right?
Right, right. Okay.
probably not. They really don't have any retail in there.
Those Tasty Deli, they aren't quite the same guys, right?
No,
Yeah,
they're,
they're
but I think they're cousins.
Yeah.
You sat here through the whole meeting and would you like,
I was just hoping to find out a little bit more about that subdivision,
Harbor Haven?
Harbor Haven. And I really wanted to thank you for looking into things for us and being the person to getting back to us and making inquiries. But, it just seems that he is now going to hook up for gas in a different location. That is my main concern because you've only approached me. So I was wondering if you knew anything about that.
Okay, so, thanks for coming here and asking that. And she attended via Zoom and followed up with another email. And the other email was inquiring, did I know anything about an easement that was presented to her the day after our meeting? I said, oh my gosh, no, I don't know anything. So I called the engineer for the applicant and the applicant. Engineer knew nothing about an easement. He said it might be something with the power company. Later that day, I talked to Mike and he said, that was me. I went to her door and left an easement because we need National Grid to hook up utilities and I think natural gas. And I said, well, the subdivision shows a 20-foot easement across the front of your lot and other lots along there. And I said, I don't know anything about this. So the owner went to her house and asked that she sign this. And beyond that, I don't know. And again, I use that as an example with the mayor to say, that's the kind of thing that should be all worked out at the time you're looking for final approval, not the day after. And to the engineer not know, we didn't know.
Maybe we add that to our list of questions to ask when we get final approval.
On
Request.
other ones, yeah, well, and if I had been of another mindset on this, well, look, if we had started from the beginning, that would be on our list. The way it was unfolding, that we were not invited to a group, and then it was like 10 days before our meeting, hey, can you? It's like, oh, I didn't think you wanted us
So
to.
the village did not know where the hookup to the main line was going to be?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
So they
And-
go across her property to,
Right, and I think so. And the other thing, to answer your question, our village engineer did not review those plans. They were reviewed 23 years ago. And I asked him at their meeting in November, October, I said, hey, have you looked at that? Are you good with all those? And he said, I have not looked at them. He said they were given to me with the infrastructure agreement. And when I saw that they had signed it and these plans were 20 some years ago, I said, I'm not reviewing this because they had already, it's like, it's a moot point for me to look at it. And so, that's what frustrated me is like, we were put in a very awkward position to then convey to the public, oh, it's approved. And I had a lot of reservations about it, but so I said to the owner, I said, well, it's starting in January, you're not even going to be allowed to have natural gas. So why don't you just go all electric anyway? And then today the governor said, well, we're going to slow down on that.
Should there be some kind of law where an approved subdivision runs out?
Well,
Because
The statute of limitations.
Yeah, like there,
That's what I thought, but
there certainly should be because things change. and-
well, that's what I said more than a year ago to them, and I wrote it in an email. I said, I know what you're saying, that DEC and Health Department, their approval holds. But those funny side houses were not there. That drainage system was not there. Lot has changed, materials have changed, best practices have changed. Like, to say it's valid is, doesn't make any sense. And, but,
You would think since we do individual permits for what, 2 years?
yeah,
Do nothing within 2 years, it's void. And so
Well-
how can you go 20 years on a PDD when nothing's been
Right.
done to it?
fortunately,
Go void.
fortunately, when they asked Jim for building permit, he said, well, I think your houses need site plan review because of the PDD. And then I started looking and our zoning doesn't have the language of the PDD for Harbor Haven in it. It did, but I had to dig through it. I don't even know how I found it, but it said, and this is how we did get involved, that all phases of the development need planning board approval. And I told them that, and they go, no, it already was approved. And I said, sorry, but what are you doing? You're building a road? Yes, yep. Putting in water? Yep. Sewer? Yep. Electricity? Yep. Drainage? Yep. Isn't that phase, what, on the maps, what's it called? Phase 4, 5, and 6. Do they exist now? No. Then that needs approval. And so he agreed. But that was like a week before the meeting. But they were very reluctant and the mayor was reluctant. It's like, well, you're not gonna, that was all approved. We're not messing with the layout or anything. It's like, fine, we're not trying to change the layout, but I just want to make sure that it's gonna work, that we know what we're approving, but we really didn't completely. So,
Jim, is there a map of PDD
yeah,
with the lots?
yeah,
And then you folks approved some housing designs.
yeah,
right? Those like numbers or something.
yeah.
Because what I said to the applicant when he put in, things is, what I want to see on an application is the lot number and the design number, so that if we
Oh.
build something, I know it's the
Right.
correct building for that lot.
We did not assign design K with lot 19, but we looked, there were, the plan for the first 4 will all be the same, but different colors. Then there were 5 more designs
Right.
that are very similar, but 5 designs.
But are those like, those 5 additional things labeled?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, but it's like,
What I want to see is
Yeah.
17 or.
Right.
It's K.
Yep.
That way I can look at it and say, okay, that's what K looks like, that's what they're building. Because what happened with the original Harbor Haven is the gentleman came in and when he built his second home, he just came in and said, I want to build a home that had been approved. And we filled out, a zoning application that just said for a single family home, and it wasn't the same design. And I questioned it. He said, well, you gave me a zoning permit for a single family home. You didn't say what it looked like. So
well,
I just think we need to, kind of
yeah.
be meticulous about just what goes with.
So when he gets, if he comes next,
He understood that.
it would, Mike Yankovic, when he asked for a zoning permit in April, whenever, for a lot number 19 or whatever it is, have him tell you which house design number. And there were 5 of them. And it's like a long number, like P 109 or 110 or.
He seemed to understand. He said, I
Yeah.
understand why you want to know that, but.
And then the only other hitch is what they were trying to do last month was to have us approve those designs and then they don't need to come back ever again. The thing is, the approval is for those houses. A site, like to build each house needs a site plan. If we approved a design last month, so that would only hold for a year. So if he builds another house in 3 years or 2 years, he has to come back because that approval is no longer valid for site plan. And I still question that, is our local subdivision review valid, not built out after 20 years? I don't think so. But it was their engineer, the mayor, and Dave Altieri, and I didn't have the PVD with me that meeting, and it was only later that I was able to find it. But, so that was a weird situation but they were just determined that it was, nope, it's all set. And the mayor was on board with that and took it and ran with it.
I want to make sure that we get maps and stuff. I mean, we've got it. For
Yeah,
There was a packet. We had a, right? I
Yeah,
thought
we
it was a
have-
Pretty thorough
we have it.
packet.
3-year-old packet.
something, yeah.
Some of it,
No.
some of it was new.
Yeah,
It was new.
there's the designs.
The house design.
But, you know, I mean, commenting about Madison Barracks tonight and, you know, identifying the building numbers and the uses.
Yeah.
and all of that. You need to have the documentation easily accessible to your board, to the ZBA.
yeah.
to-
But what we had is that we had a map of the lots. And then we had drawings of the proposed houses. Right. There are some the first four are the same, but of the others, but he didn't give us which ones were in which lot yet.
Right, yes. But when he does do it, it's gotta come from that.
Yeah.
It's like when they built Bayview Estates, Mike Campbell had a notebook. And it was, you know, these are the lots that we're selling. These are the homes you can put on the lot. You choose which home you want out of this book.
So I don't know anything more about the easement. And I would,
Like, you know, they have the little flags up and painted the street further up. So it looks like they were hooking up someplace else.
I don't know when it is, but Friday, I know Mayor Alex is having a meeting with one of your neighbors. You could find out when that is, because or at least one neighbor. I'm out of town, so I can't attend that. But I think it'd be fine
Do
to,
you know which?
Reese,
Oh, okay.
do you know how to say her first name? Is it you, Lisa?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to avoid it.
She's the one she's the one that's asked for a meeting. She's been very active, like emailing questions a number of times, so. Okay, nothing, I'm not aware of anything finalized yet with Madison Barracks. That final infrastructure agreement meeting, the last thing is the drainage. There's still, the village board is still waiting to sign up on that. Those application forms, Dave Altieri and I are getting back on that. And we didn't do anything with paint colors. We talked about that we need to deal with that.
What happened to the one that we had before?
Well, the paint color, it's a binder, but the color names and numbers change. So if someone looks at it and says, okay, I'm gonna go to Sherwin-Williams and get Mystic Blue, they say, we don't make Mystic Blue, but we make Newport Lilac.
Yeah.
And then, and then, or you have the little health rep, and this is what happened with the gift shop. They gave us the color thing and it looked nice and Sackets Arborish, and then it was much brighter blue. They're like, that's the color we got, you approved it. It's like, well, the copy we had of your color swatch doesn't look like that. And they said, well, that's the color. So
Something like that would have to be updated every year then.
yeah, well, that's why we're trying to go with online. Like, 4 paint companies have officially designated these as historic, and you can look at them and say, I'm gonna go with that, and you get the number, and then they can tell us, then we could look at it theoretically, and then that whole thing was to save time, so they could say to Jim,
Well, if it's in the palette, in some cases I can.
Right.
I just think,
You'll soon, unless it, if it's a change of color, it goes before the planning board, and then new language. is part of the palette.
we should have a palette of sample colors that aren't, who cares what it's called, just because anybody can paint match.
And then they could take that and go to Ace and say, make a color like this, or find the one that they make that's like that.
Which every paint company, maybe I'm happy to spearhead that. Almost any paint company will give you actual sample, not a color card, but an actual, this is what my dry paint looks like on wood. Or, and a few, but I don't know.
We still have the binder, and then we have online links, and that's where it stopped.
There's a lot of translation between looking at a computer screen and pushing print and
Oh,
then
yeah.
taking that to a store. A
Yeah.
lot of lost.
Yeah, and the other thing that Jen and I discussed is, for example, let's talk about roofing materials. You guys have approved the shower free because it emulates slate, but, just because it's in the book. It's about slate roof of my house. Well, is that appropriate for historic house, the historic district? And just because it's on the, list,
Yeah.
is that okay? But maybe you guys can be more specific about CAMA 3 can be used on red brick and limestone buildings. And others.
Do we need to make a motion or any kind of movement, like Mayor Morgia was talking about before we started the meeting about how comments and emails and letters to
Oh, right.
our board
It's in the minutes.
should not be anonymous. I don't know how to capture that, but so that if anybody can comment, and it's welcome for public and, emails and letters to the board. But anonymous letters won't maybe.
It's the same thing as if they come in here and Dan wants to say something, they're supposed to give us their name and where they live.
Sir.
It'd be the same thing.
But we were faced with that with the Whiskey Coop tent. When
Right, yeah. We had. a couple-
Jimmy 1812 and Susan.
There was
Baker.
anonymous emails and we didn't know, not signed.
You could have one person under multiple
Right.
accounts.
Absolutely.
I mean, they had a name signed Jim,
One was signed Jim, the other were with their email addresses.
right, which is, so identify their name and address. So that we all in agreement that would be helpful to us.
Yes. I think it validates the comments.
Right. Because otherwise you could create a number of emails and add 15, which is kind of what probably happened at that time. We got 3 or 4 emails expressing anti-tent messages. But we don't know who they were from
Right,
other
we
than,
don't, we have no idea.
I take a slightly different approach when it comes to complaint. If it's a written complaint, and the law encourages written complaints if someone's got an issue, but not everybody wants to rat out their neighbor. If I get an anonymous complaint, I investigate it, and then it's me taking the action. The complaint.
Do we word it then as if you want it to be mentioned on record? As part of the minutes or on record, it needs to have an identifying.
Yeah, yeah, like we can still read the anonymous, we just won't
Right.
put it on.
Right, like I'm gonna use that same example of we don't know if it's the same person or not. So that to me now, going forward, we could see just emails that we don't have any identifying information. So, I'll read it. Take it into consideration amongst ourselves, but then doesn't become part of public think. Is that fair? I don't.
Yeah,
to be an official public comment, you need to identify your name, full name and address. And we're not requiring that they be a resident. They could live in Tallahassee, but
But is that something, who sets it up to make it?
I asked that the village board, I mean, we could make a policy, but
Mayor Moore just said they would action it with our recommendation. I think if I, did
Yeah.
they,
Something like
right,
that.
something like that.
So you could make that in your next report.
Yeah.
So
Thank
So should
you.
we do, make a recommendation now while we sit here?
That's what I was trying to do.
Right, so, I'll make the motion.
I'm just trying to get my wording right on that because I won't trip over myself with words, but I make a motion that we recommend to the village board that all public comments, written or verbal, be from, I don't know,
Be identified
An
by
identified
name and
party.
address.
with name and address or contact information
to be on the official record.
to be on the official record.
There you go.
Complaints or otherwise, or, anonymous comments are still invited, but won't be part of the official record.
Second.
Right.
Thanks, Mike.
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't I trip over my own words?
You did good.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I'd forgotten.
But you've got words.
Yeah, there you go. What do you think, Janet? We about the end?
Yes, we are done.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.